How could you market your small book to have a big impact? This evening, I want to conclude our small book, big impact series. This is our masterclass where we show you how to make a living with your books without selling many books. And I'm going to share with you how you can use your small book to make a big impact. Just one or two marketing tips. So I invite you to stay tuned. Masterclass is now in session.
Let's welcome C. Ruth Taylor. Her mission is to raise up 10,000 winning Caribbean entrepreneurs by 2030 to ensure fewer books die in the minds of their authors, that more manuscripts become published legacies, and precious lives are transformed with the turn of every page.
All right. If you've not yet subscribed to this channel and you're thinking of becoming an entrepreneur, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. So, hi, Leon. Small book, big impact. How can you market your small book to have a big impact? I'm going to be sharing 10 tips, game-changing tips for aspiring authorpreneurs. But just before I do that, sometimes you're just going and going and going and you're not cognizant of what you're doing. So this year I celebrate 10 years in book publishing, 10 years as a published author. And so in December, I published, December 23, I wrote and published Small Book, Big Impact. I've gotten one review on Amazon so far, and it has inspired this author to go out and write some more books. And then on February 3, I published another book. That one didn't take me one day. That one, as I've been writing that book for about 2 years now. It's about 2 years it took me to get that one out. It's called Better Than I Dreamed, How Painful Journeys Can Lead to Beautiful Destination. It's a book study of the book of Ruth, which is a small book, and it's tied to this. So I was actually writing that book, and I had a chapter to share 10 success tips from the book of Ruth. And one of them was Small Book, Big Impact. And a friend of mine, when I shared that chapter with her, she said, no, what you've shared here, these 10 success tips from the book of Ruth are inspired by Ruth. You should turn them into a chapter. So both of these books go hand in hand. And so I'd announced on my podcast that it was book number 29, but when I checked it out, it's actually book number 30. So this is my 30th book over the past 10 years, as in published books, because I have some unpublished manuscripts. All right. And most of the books that I write are small books. So how can we market our small books to make a big impact? I want to share something that Joel Friedlander, the late Joel Friedlander, shared 10 years ago that is still relevant today as it relates to marketing and what we can do, and then apply them to our small book. We're talking books anywhere from, say, 100 pages to 150 pages. It's under 200 pages, all right? So let me share a little bit what Joel says in this article. The first thing he says that, and he was in the self-publishing thing from 1986. In his 10 tips for entrepreneurs, he says for many years, he would be hired to create book covers for entrepreneurs because they have long known that their books are a hub for potential profit and extends the ideas in their book in many dimensions. So one of the things is that depending on the small book that you're going to write, that small book actually can become a marketing tool for your business. It can become the springboard for, if you're a Christian, a ministry that you're launching. So That in itself is what we would call creative marketing, because the thing you are promoting, if you tell the story of it in a small book, capture your story and your expertise, or it could be a small book like Ruth that talks about overcoming something, because Ruth goes from poverty to plenty, from having no child to having a child. If it is tied to something, that's one way to market it, because a small book can become a business card. So he said for many years, the clients he would hire would to produce designs would be entrepreneurs, because no matter what the field was, they had some expertise and they knew there was a bigger audience to reach through by going through the work of publishing it in a book. And so there are companies, Mike Capuzzi, for example, he calls them shooks, short, helpful books. And he would help business owners write a small book of 100 pages, and then the business owners, whether it's or career professionals, a dentist, you name it, they capture their story and their expertise, some testimonies in a small book, and then that becomes a marketing tool for the business. People come to the business and they buy the book. So at the summit, we heard from Keith Wedderburn. His book is a small book, and he uses his business to actually promote the book. So when people come to his farm and the spa, because it's a story, his book is a story of how he overcame homelessness, then they buy the book, and that becomes marketing. So you could use depending on a small book that you write, you could tie it to something, a passion that you have, a business that you have, a project that you have. And that way, the small book is marketed, the company or the project or the cause is marketed. So it becomes a springboard for that, right? So they would use the book to leverage their position in the field, but also as a springboard to offer their expertise. So are you a social worker, guidance counselor? Who do you work with? Is there a story around that you could put it in a small book that while you are promoting the cause, the book is being promoted? So a good way to market a small book to get a big impact is to tie the small book to a cause. And Joel says that realize that every book is essentially a mini startup business. And so your small book could become the marketing tool, your client generating tool. And he says one of the ways to be successful at this thing is to get to know people who are the best audience for your book. So if you're going to market your small book to have a big impact, who is the primary audience? You cannot say that my book is for everybody. That means you'll be marketing to nobody, because not everybody is interested in what you've written about. So the more you can identify who your primary audience is, then you will know where to find them and how to get to them. You can learn how to connect with them. And the book is a good conversation starter, is a good connector. The other thing I just want to pick out from this article that is that would make sense is what he says about marketing. Get over your reluctance to market your books and other products and services. Marketing is not selling. He says instead of a transaction, it's more about communicating your expertise and your passions with others who share them. Let me say that again. Get over your reluctance to market your books and other products and services. Marketing is not selling. Instead of it thinking of a transaction, it's more about communicating your expertise and passions with others who share them. So if you think of that and you put it in a small book, because it is small and people's attention spans are short, they would be quicker to take up your book and try to read it because it is small book. Another way to market that small book is to build a tribe, to build a community, to build a following around that small book and the issue. So right now, for example, my small book, because when I did the formatting for Better Than I Dreamed, The Formatting for Better Than I Dreamed, it's actually 147 pages. So how am I going to market that book? Well, this is my 10th year. And so the truth is, God has turned my life around like Ruth. So my heartache was transformed into something beautiful. And now I have a purpose, and I'm part of, just helping authors to write their stories and seeing what it does, the legacy that lives on. For example, one of my authors, while she was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, during her final days, she was writing stories, and she was working on her second book. And this is 4 years since her passing, or 3 years. And now her daughter is going to take up that book and run with it. And the ministry that she had to the deaf is going to continue, because she documented her story in a small book, and we're going to share that. And I feel privileged to be a part of that. So I now have a career, I now have a purpose and a passion, writing for impact and legacy, and to help authors and others, creatives, to gain sustainable income. That's better than I dreamed, but it started with a heartbreak, right? A broken engagement, wanting to die, wanting to give up, and it's been repurposed. So when I tell that story, which I have in several of my books, but especially in this 30th book, how that painful journey has led to a beautiful destination, because I'm talking about the story behind it and the cause, and it is tied to an event celebrating 10 years. And I want to tell the story now of how God has turned, my life has turned out better than I dreamed, despite a time of sorrow and heartache. That is going to help me to sell the book, so you can tell the story behind the book. And so I'm going to be doing a Better Than I Dreamed tour. And I'm also going to be starting a book club, so that, over 6 weeks, we can study this book together. It's a small book, finish it in 6 weeks. And so these are some of the things that you can do to market it. One, don't think about selling so much. Think about sharing what you love with what you're passionate about with those who care to know. Connect an event, connect a cause to the small book, connect a business, connect a profession, connect some purpose to the small book. Let the small book be about that. And that in itself will help to market it. So I just wanted to share those tips. And then I'm just going to show you just some clips. And if you have questions, since we have one person live, you can ask the questions in the comment and I will answer them. So those are some of the tips that you can do to market a small book and create a lasting impact, because people love stories of overcoming, inspirational stories. Like I said, if it is a tool for your business, you will sell the book. My friend Patricia Reed, it's a small book that she created on retirement, sharing her stories, lessons learned, and what she does now. She will sell the book and she will go to do a retirement workshop or corporate at a corporate entity. And so it is marketing it. So you can tell the story behind the book. You can tie it to an event or a cause. And you can, for example, you can have anniversary events. So this one is an anniversary event in terms of 10 years in publishing. But every year, like the anniversary of the publication itself, you can do something special that will continue with the book sales. So I'm just going to show just a little clip highlighting my 10 years in as a published author, and what I'll be doing with these small books to create a big impact. All right. So if you notice, the book is Better Than I Dreamed, and I'm creating an event around that. So what event could you create around your small book so that it will sell? What could you connect your small book to? Small book, big impact. Think about that. So how could you move beyond it? The other thing that you could do to help in terms of the book, you can put the book in different formats. So right now it's in ebook. I'm going to put it in print. Because May is when I want, for my birthday, I want to kickstart my book tour, my Better Than I Dreamed anniversary events. I'm going to start that in May. But guess what? I've been doing this from the beginning. So I tied my very first book to my birthday. The writing of it, I wrote it to celebrate my 34th birthday. So I wrote it in the 33rd year to finish. And then 9 months later, it was published. So connect your small book to an event, a cause, or your profession, your business, and that will help you to market the other thing, that will market the book, and it will sell. So that's just a simple tip I wanted to share as we conclude this series. And then I want to ask you, have you written a book that is Ruth-like? Is the content of what you shared timeless? Because that's what keeps it. Can people from different cultures relate to the story? That makes it timeless. Is it a story of overcoming? That will give it a timeless feature, and it will sell from generation to generation. Is there a cause in the book? Because like with Ruth, there are different causes. Looking out for the widows, relationship tips, overcoming adversity. And this is a little bit beyond the book of Ruth, but still related to it. The small book, big impact. When you have a small book, the cost to edit is less when you're self-publishing, to put it together. And so you would spend less and you would make back your money quickly. You can publish for less than $1,000. If your book is small, say 15,000 or 20,000, you can spend maybe $200 on editing, that's US dollars, and then you can get affordable cover for $100. There's 100covers.com. You can spend maybe $500 on that because it is small if you're self-publishing. And how many books you have to sell to make back 80,000 Jamaican dollars or 500? Not even 50 books, not even 20 books. So, but you have to package the story in a way that is connected to a cause, connected to an event, connected to something bigger, because that will help with the marketing. So for me now, Better Than I Dreamed will be easier to market and sell because I'm connecting it to an event. I'm connecting it to some inspirational thing. And of course, it's also connected to my business because in Better Than I Dream, I have a little chapter that talks about book publishing and writing. And so within your book, you want to have things that promote your business or lead to where people can sign up. You have to creatively put it in. In Better Than I Dream, for example, I've listed 7 books. I've referred to them. So when I'm doing this tour now, they would buy Better Than I Dreamed, read it, maybe finish it in 6 weeks or a night or something, but then they'll be introduced to my other books. So the small book is actually marketing the other books. So there are just a number of ways you could do this thing. And I trust that the little bit that I shared today in the masterclass will be helpful. Any questions, any comments before I go? No? Nothing? All right. So remember, of making many books, Ecclesiastes 12:12b says, there is no end. So go penny to win it and dominate entrepreneurship. Try a small book, no man, it gives you a big win. And then you can create a big impact on the world to make a difference. But you could put money in your pocket faster because the small book is easier to sell. Ta for now, until next time.